Wait, hold on. Basil, no. We're going to do your shows later. Don't horn in on Progressive Soup, okay? That's a low growl for the boy. Okay. Gosh, okay. Welcome to Progressive Soup. My name is David Stevenson. Tonight I have two very interesting guests. We have Marty Heiser, who has his own show on Comcast called, appropriately enough, The Marty Heiser Show. And I've been on the show a number of times. Great guy, great show, very interesting. Always has a lot of divergent points of view, and that's what is the best thing about Marty. Also, Rich Frascone, or is it
Frascone?
Frascone, okay.
Nice Italian boy.
Okay, no baloney. Frascone.
There you go.
Okay, Rich, as you'll note, has his Occupy Danbury shirt on, so that gives you a little bit of flavor of where
let me turn around so
okay,
this way they can get the they can get the full flavor. Can you see that?
Okay, we are the 99%.
Okay, that's it, Dave.
Well, thank goodness you didn't bring the rest of them along, because that's a lot of darn people. And we're going to talk about...
I got a little nervous when he turned around and he was going to show. I it was a shirt. Okay, good.
Just a shirt, yeah.
Okay, good. This is a family-oriented show, right?
Yeah, Progressive Soup has noted when Rich has been on that Rich can be a little bit salty-mouthed at times, but he's gotten a little calmer as time has gone on. And he always has a lot to say because he's a smart guy, and he reads a lot and cross-checks a lot of things, does a lot of fact-checking, and he doesn't just catch something from any direction and just blurt it out again and pass it along. But we're going to start off with a nice little shout out. Out to a woman by the name of Hillary Rosen, who made a remark a couple days ago about Ann Romney not working, and I think we're pretty much all in agreement that it's probably a pretty dumb thing to say.
Well, I believe what she said was that Ann Romney has no right to speak for women. She has no right to speak for women that she's run across in her husband's campaign for president. And I think the quote was because, quote, she hasn't worked a day in her life. Now, Ann Romney, I understand, has survived cancer and is struggling with MS. Mm-hmm. And if you've ever been around one of these national campaigns, it is an incredible slog.
Oh, my gosh, yes.
Not to mention, she raised 5 wonderful young men. They all seem to be wonderful United States citizens.
Pretty normal kids, yeah.
Pretty normal kids, which... my wife, for one, was outraged by that. And it is kind of interesting because it would seem as if we can generally term it the left and the right, Democrat, Republican, progressive, conservative, however you want to look at it. But it is kind of interesting to have the sort of progressive left wing be hoisted on the petard of one of their spokesmen saying that stay-at-home moms haven't worked a day in their life. And I liken it, we were talking about this a little bit before, liken it a little bit to on the other side of the coin when one of our seemingly well-known radio hosts, I forget his name now, had a disparaging thing to say about some student that was wanting contraceptive paid for by taxpayers. All of a sudden that was a brush that painted all Republicans. Now the shoe's on the other foot, and we have someone that says something from the progressive side that the right, I guess, would like to say that paints all the left-wing progressives. They hate mothers that stay at home.
If she had called her a prostitute, it certainly would have been probably a lot rougher. But I don't know one person that considers themselves a progressive that would ever make the statement that Hillary Rosen made. It's asinine in the sense that, hearkening back to the 70s when the National Organization for Women, we were pushing the Equal Rights Amendment, and a phrase that they coined appropriately enough was every mother is a working mother. Mm-hmm. So certainly I don't think anybody would find what she said anything but distasteful at best.
Yeah, I mean, everyone is doing the Michael Jackson moonwalk on this right up to the president.
But she's
saying, "Well, hey, we don't agree with that. My wife raises it, and she says it's
because they don't. And she's the one that said it, and she's got her own backing up to do, and it's going to be rough for her. It's going to be about as rough as Rush Limbaugh backing off his statements. Go ahead.
First of all, who is she? who is she representing? I mean, I never heard of this girl until she came up with these statements.
Well, I've heard
so
of
now
her.
all of a sudden she represents a Democratic Progressive Party?
I
don't know her from a hole in the wall.
I think she, in fact, is. I don't know her connection to the Democratic Party, but it is. She has some official connection to the Democratic Party, and
I believe she's on the DNC payroll,
Democratic National Committee.
That's right. She's on the payroll, and of all things, she vets different candidates when they go on public television. When they go on television at all, she vets them. She tells them what to say. She says, "Don't use your hands. Don't bring this up. Don't use analogies." So she's the one, the teacher of how you're supposed to do on these talk.
So in other words, you're saying she's like the Frank Lunger of the Democratic Party.
Or the Frank Lundgren, is it Lundgren?
Yeah, where the guy, where they'll use terms like, instead of using a term like
focus groups.
Instead of using a term like sniper, he'll say, no. Use the word sharpshooter.
Which is a positive sounding version of
sniper. So in other words, we're not blowing the guy's head off. We're just making it sound like we're not blowing his head off. And this is what makes me crazy. And this is what conservatives do.
Well, everybody does it, and words are powerful tools, and we have to be very careful about how we listen to people when they make statements, because depending upon the words they use, they can either soften or harshen the phrase.
But you bring up a good point, because from the liberal point of view,
Frank Luntz, that's his name.
Frank Luntz.
Yeah. By the way, does he have a hair? Does he have like a mammal on his head? That Frank Luntz. When I see him, I think he's got a bit of a toupee. But I digress. But it's interesting when you talk about the verbiage that they use, because on the right they might say, "Hey, that guy wants to raise taxes." On the left, they'll say, "We're looking at revenue enhancers."
Revenue enhancement.
On the right, they'll say, "Hey, this guy is pro-abortion. They want to have partial birth abortions. It's terrible." On the left, they'll say, "We're pro-women's health issues." And it
Which
really
is
is
that a pro-choice.
So how do we
same
like right to work, all right? Believe me, I never... we also...
which of course is not exactly right to work.
It has nothing to do with rights, and it has nothing to do with employment.
Other than union destroying.
If they were to tell you what they really wanted to accomplish, you'd go, "Hey, I'm not going to vote for that." But the thing is, what you have to do is you have to make people willfully ignorant.
No advertising for Dunkin' Donuts, sorry, whoever has the cup.
And this is what drives me nuts a lot of times. Like when I watch, and believe me, I watch a lot of Fox News.
Okay.
I devote a lot of time with Fox News.
Well, you have to. You have to know. You have to see.
You have to be close to your friends and closer to your enemies, right? That's what we're saying.
And then you can think about it and counter.
I got to watch
it.
I got to have my laptop open.
Yeah.
So that I can back check everything that they say. And I tell you, Fox News is just evil.
Yeah.
I mean, evil.
It's interesting because I get sort of the same thing when I watch NBC. And let me give you an example just from this past week. In this tragic case that's unfolding down in Florida. And by the way, I have an opinion. I think the Zimmer guy is a yahoo with a gun, and I think at the end, I hope he spends time behind bars, because I think what he did was bad. So that being said,
bad for neighborhood watches in general, certainly, because people should not be.
Listen. The neighborhood watch is one thing. Those guardian angels with their little red hats. That's one thing. When you got a yahoo out there with a cell phone and a gun, then you have tragedy.
What is the law in Florida? Stand back or
right to stand and right to defend yourself. But my point is, because you bring up that Fox is always wrong. I get the same kind of rub when I watch NBC News. For example, this is just from last week. I'm not making this up. NBC News takes the 911 phone call between the Zimmerman and the dispatcher, and he says, and the message goes, we're following a guy. The dispatcher says, is he black, Hispanic, or white? And Zimmerman says, I think he looks black.
Well, they cut that out,
and it's in the middle. I mean, tensions are very high right here. You got people putting bounties out and stuff like that. So when you say you watch Fox and you can't handle it, you got your laptop off and they lie. Well, I say I watch NBC and I got to listen to this crap.
That was
I guess what we're all saying is buyer beware.
That was horrible.
No people's prejudices, and when you watch it, when I watch NBC, I mean, the credibility of them has gone way down just from that one example. I can give others. Dan Rather, he comes
reporting.
up with a completely concocted some sort of manuscript on the eve of a presidential election saying that George W. Bush, was AWOL or whatever. It was a complete and utter forgery, and he put it on the air 2 days before an election. So CBS, NBC, you've got your beef against Fox. I guess I understand it. I don't know. I watch Fox. I think the women are very attractive.
But absolutely.
That doesn't matter. Not that matters.
Television's become entertainment.
Fox has raised the bar quite a bit on that, but I digress. But I really think that you buyer beware. You got to know a little bit.
But the thing is, you're right. Buyer beware, which means that we have to be careful. But what pisses me off, and I hope I can say this.
I don't know. Let's check. Can you say that?
He said it.
I think it's up.
What really gets me is the fact that Fox goes out of its way to deliberately mislead people. I mean, deliberate. Ask anybody that watches Fox News what they think about the Chevy Volt. They'll tell you it's the biggest piece of crap that was ever produced. However, the Chevy Volt is not only Car of the Year in the United States, it's Car of the Year in Europe as well. But it's not Car of the Year with Fox News. And why isn't it Car of the Year? Because if you drive the Chevy Volt, you're not using as much gas and fossil fuel as we want you to. So therefore, because you're not burning fuel... You're not burning fuel. You're not supporting the Republican Party. The Chevy Volt's a piece of crap.
Well, I don't know if it's a piece of crap, but one of the anchormen from Fox Business Network. He's on that show, The Five. I forget
Fox News Channel. Yep.
Fox News Channel. He bought one of the things, and the thing didn't work. And when you say it's a piece of crap, I don't know if it's a piece of crap. Hopefully, it's the car of the future or whatever. But for right now, let me just finish. The Chevy Volt. They stopped production and when they shut down one of their factories that were producing these because I think they wanted to sell, 10,000 units and they only sold 4. So they had to lay off people that were trying to build these Chevy Volts. Now, let me just say that the subtext of the Volt is the same thing that you have at Solandra, the same thing you have with all these other things where you take taxpayer money. Okay? This isn't, Henry Ford, he has a vision, he's going to build a car company. You take your tax dollars and my tax dollars and you say, you have to build solar energy, you have to build electric cars, and while we're at it, we're going to put windmills up, and then they don't work, and then you find out
I'm sorry to interrupt.
Okay.
Because they don't work? What do you mean? What do you mean they don't work? You mean,
I'll tell you.
You mean somebody put up a windmill that's generating electricity. You see the blades turning, and it doesn't make electricity. You said it doesn't work now.
Yeah, I would say as far as we can take it one at a time.
Don't lead the people to think it doesn't work if you're trying to say something else.
Okay.
This is what I'm getting at.
All right. Well, there's 3. I'll take them one at a time.
Okay. Good.
First of all, windmills. What do you do when it's not blowing? Okay, you got a problem. And also the windmills also take out bald eagles and other things. I don't know if you know that it's true. And the second thing, the Kennedys won't let these windmills be put out because it'll ruin their view off the coast of Massachusetts.
They don't own Cape Cod. It's Cape Cod where citizens were against that. And boo on them.
Well, you can't swing a cat on Cape Cod without hitting 5 liberal Democrats. And they want everyone else to have windmills, but they don't want to destroy their view. So that's windmills. Now we'll go to electric cars.
And boo on them.
When you say electric cars, when you say electric cars don't use fossil fuels, where do you think the energy to plug in the car comes from? Fossil fuel burning, coal burning electric plants.
But it's incredibly efficient. Where you spend about 2 cents a mile.
You're making an assumption
versus 25 cents a mile.
All the electric cars are recharged with coal. That's not true.
We can't agree that electric cars are recharged with electricity, right?
Exactly.
Okay, so we're there.
Don't make the assumption that it's from a coal burning plant.
Okay,
you can't do that.
Maybe it's from one of these eagle destroying windmills.
Because you see what you're starting to do. You're starting to make assumptions that you can't quantify, and you have very little evidence that this is happening. But what's happening is you're being told over and it doesn't work, it's no good, it's not cost effective. These things, you talked about Solandra.
Right.
How often has Fox News kicked Solandra, and why? Let me tell you why. We had $28 billion that was set aside for research. It's unfortunate that $500 billion of it was given to Solyndra.
500 million, yeah.
All right? Solyndra's stuff was working, and it was cost effective until the Chinese started giving away solar panels. And Solyndra couldn't compete.
Because the Chinese government stepped in.
What about all the other billions of dollars that went to green energy that's effective and that's working and people are saying, holy shit, I only spent $4 last month on my electric bill because I have all these things. I was down in a house in Westport where they invested a lot of money on solar panels. Right. And I was downstairs in the basement where they had the meters and all the stuff for this. They had solar, they had the heat, what do you call it?
Yeah, like the subterranean thing where it goes underneath.
Geothermal, which is similar to what
that's a good thing too.
Yeah.
So anyway,
it costs $40,000 to put it in, but once it's in, it's good.
I'm in the basement and I'm looking and I'm watching this electric panel, and this thing is zinging. And I said, you guys are using that much electricity? He said, no, we're making that. I said, you're kidding. He goes, no. Then all of a sudden the meter slows down. I go, what's going on? He goes, I don't know. I go outside, there's a cloud. And I said, wow, what a difference. He goes, yeah, these things don't work at night. I said,
well, solar doesn't work at night, we can agree on that. Solar doesn't work when it's cloudy, I guess that was your experience. Wind thing doesn't work when it's not blowing.
And they're not killing eagles. Because
I disagree with you, and so does the Sierra Club. They are killing eagles. But look, I shoot birds for fun, so I like American eagles. But I like to duck hunt myself, so I got no particular love for feathered friends. By the way, cats eat birds too, just so you know. With your friend
Basil, Basil. Well, actually,
survival of the fittest is a real pisser.
He never ate one. He just brings them home.
But we're talking about. I do think that we can quantify precisely the electricity that comes out of that spigot or wherever you're going to plug in your volt. I do think we can say precisely where that energy comes from, and the vast majority, as we stand right now, comes from coal-burning electric plants. Okay,
that's true.
It's something above zero, and it's something below 100, but it's a pretty high percentage. So it's not like these electric cars aren't generating a carbon footprint. They are. But just a word on Solyndra. Your term, you said it was cost-effective, but you were right in saying basically you had a Barack Obama campaign contribution bundler, and this is where it gets insidious, that was given $500 billion, $500 million to create this wonderful plant out in California, beautifully landscaped, wonderful, and they were producing solar panels they were producing them for $6, and you can buy them on the open market for $3. So it's not cost effective, and this is the rub. This is the rub from maybe Fox or the right. The rub is you're taking our hard-earned tax dollars, you're giving it to your cronies.
No, we're not doing Basil's show. Gentlemen, I hate to step in, but let's step in because Basil dialed up a fellow that
about the whole eating bird thing.
No, used to own a little company called Enron, and he's mentioning about he's making a reference to. Any campaign contributions that Solyndra made to Barack Obama's campaign in 2008, and he's got a two-word response to that in relative to Enron's contributions to George Bush and Republicans. Big deal. So apparently this little Enron corporation.
So you got Enron. What about what's the one that Dick Cheney? What was that? Halliburton. You got Halliburton.
Got all the no bid
Enron,
contracts.
Like but just to finish my point on Solyndra. So that's the rub with Solyndra, is that it's taxpayers' dollar going to a Barack Obama fundraising crony to build something that they don't need. They're called bundlers.
Yeah, okay, and that's fair enough.
And you work hard for a living. I'm a painting contractor. you do this thing with construction on houses. You sell the houses. We all work hard for our money. It just rubs us the wrong way when the federal government is taking this money and putting it towards these things. That being said, I would love for someday there to be not only electric cars, but flying cars. I would love for everyone to have a little beanie with a windmill that runs everything. I would love for solar energy to come into the thing. But here's the thing. There's a marketplace. If the Volt is so dang good and saves money, it can stand on its own 2 feet. You don't need my tax dollars. If solar energy can work and you put these panels on, you got these things spinning in the basement, like you said, they can stand on its own 2 feet. You don't need my money subsidized.
Okay, I'm going to step in here because I want to depoliticize this a little bit, and I want to talk about
we're going to talk about gardening?
All the mainstream media, which of course includes Fox, because Fox is probably, I think it's the #1 audience viewership of any network. So we're going to call them all mainstream media, and I'm going to say that they're all participating in a little thing called gas prices. Now, the reason why I say this is because the fact is, yes, gas prices on the day Barack Obama took office were about $1.80 a gallon nationwide, and now they're about $4 now. So they're up about double what they were, a little bit more than double. Now, what all of the media have not said, a very important fact that they have not agreed to, spoken to, made note of, is the fact that back beginning in right after Katrina in 2005, gas prices, which on a national average have been about $1.20 a gallon when George Bush took office, had risen to about $3.60. They had tripled in 5 years.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah. It cost $100 to fill up my SUV.
They reached a national average high, which may have been caught by this point of $4.11. We had a little thing called a meltdown in August of 2008, and partly because of that, because the market, the bottom fell out of virtually every market. We were headed into a depression. We were losing estimates of between 600 and 800,000 jobs per month in America, and we had a pretty serious problem. And this little phrase, "too big to fail," cropped up amongst the media in order to enhance the thought of giving the banks trillions of dollars. But at any rate,
is there any chance you could sing that song you were singing about the banks?
Oh, about Wall Street? Well, yeah. You come back and you do the Basil show, and you'll hear
I liked
that.
It very much.
So at any rate, so the price, the national average price of gas went from the $3.60, $3.70-ish down to about $1.80, as America was hemorrhaging about 600 to 800,000 jobs. They've heard different estimates, but generally 600 to 800,000 jobs per month. And when Barack Obama took office, the national average gasoline was down to $1.90. That's a fictitious number in the sense that it was only because of an incredible problem they have. None of the networks have had anyone on bringing out the fact that really, in fact, the national average in August of 2008, when President Bush was still in office, was $3.70 a gallon, $3.60, $3.70 a gallon. So this notion that gas prices have doubled plus under President Obama, it's really a fictitious number. Comments on that? And this is all the media. This is not just Fox, CNN, NBC, all of them. None of them have brought this fact to bear. All they want to do is talk about how gas prices have escalated under President Obama.
I agree with you.
Thank you.
I think
add to that.
Gas prices go up, gas prices go down. Gas prices go up when India and China are going great guns and they absorb all the resources. It's a global market. You got the Straits of Hormuz, and if those whacked out Iranians decide, they want to bring the end of the world and they're going to play games with our aircraft carriers there, that causes tension, so it goes up. So I agree that what's good for the goose is good for the gander. If it wasn't Bush's fault when it went up in 08, why is it Barack Obama's fault now? Here's the rub. Here's the rub. And it ties into with all the green energy and stuff like that. We have a president that's kind of sold out to this all of the above green energy thing, and he's also sold out to these environmental groups that want to protect Nebraska or Oklahoma.
Well, they would
whatever.
disagree with you probably because
they're all upset.
Oil drilling is up significantly. It was down significantly under President Bush, and it's up significantly under President Obama.
Okay, it's up significantly on private land. There are thousands and thousands of public lands that are not being allowed to open up. And the key thing, and this is unfortunately from Barack Obama's points of view, you have these wonderfully packaged issues. One is Solyndra that Fox News humps endlessly. The other is this little thing called Keystone.
Can you use the word hump on television?
I think you can.
Oh, okay, good
Or
enough.
pounds it. But the other one is this thing called Keystone. Because, here we have our wonderful Canadian brothers to the north. All they really want to do is drink Molson and watch hockey games. And they want to run this little pipeline through and bring much needed oil to the refineries down in the Gulf of Mexico.
Yeah.
And wherever they get it, it's wonderful stuff. And Barack Obama stands in the way of issuing the permit to allow these pipelines to go through.
Well, there's actually two pipelines. One comes a bit to the west, and that's in place. There's another one that comes down through the middle of Nebraska.
There are 22,000 pipelines that are going all over this country. Why he decided to block the Keystone pipeline, I don't understand, but I hope he reverses himself.
Can I get back to what you said on...
Okay, we're going to have to make it real quick because we're running down on our first half-hour discussion. Then we're going to take a little break. We'll come back. We'll do a second show. Go ahead.
Okay, but you're getting back and you're saying that the government, that Obama, this evil guy Obama, is spending our money.
Is he from Mars?
I don't know where he's from.
Oh, okay.
He's taking our hard-earned tax dollars and he's pissing it away on green energy.
Exactly.
Okay, now, let's think about this for a second. How much money are we pissing away on oil subsidies? Now,
hold on one
second.
Quick.
Years ago, when we couldn't find oil and drilling was a risky problem,
right.
and it was very cost, I could understand the government saying to the oil companies, fellas, we got you over.
They were essentially startup companies. At that
exactly. Here's some. We're going to help you out.
Well taken. And with that, we're going to have to break for a moment. We'll come back. We'll do a second show. This has been
when we do the second show, let's start with that.
David Stevenson. We have Marty Heiser and Rich Frascone, and we're just having a fun time discussing stuff in a moderated way. Okay. Be back in a couple of minutes. Thanks.